It's weird.
All right. This is Monday Night Men's Forum. I'm Matt from Up Life. Tonight's topic is the social mask, which Grant thought was super awesome, by the way. We were going to talk about winter plans, but that'll be next time probably. Tonight we have Jeremy, Do You Like Donuts, which Drake called you No More Donuts last time, which was super funny.
Who did?
Drake.
All right, so I don't know who Drake
I don't know
is.
who that is.
Don't worry about it. He's in the Telegram, and Homestead.
No, I know that much, but I don't know who that is. I mean, like
Shudra was just on, and I don't know what happened to him. So the topic tonight, the social mask, is like how you present yourself online. Like, are you being authentic or are you not? And there's a reason we're talking about this tonight, because I got beef with Jeremy.
Oh, what?
Dude, when he said that like 2 weeks ago, he had me going. I'm like, what happened?
No, I legitimately had a problem with I had a problem with Jeremy, and I still have a problem with Jeremy.
Had or have? What did I
do? Okay, let's do the thing. Whatever we do, personal event. Jeremy, go ahead.
Personal event. I've been fighting Facebook all week, and it's not been good. It's not been fun. Someone has created a Facebook page out there called Do We Like Donuts, and has stolen all my content from TikTok and posted it out there. And it has not been fun. Facebook is useless at trying to get that stuff taken down. Every request that I send in, they're like, well, we need more information. It's like a canned response every single time. And I've sent 4 copyright infringement requests to them, and nothing's been pulled down. It's been no joke, have probably spent 15 to 20 hours of my week. It's you.
Yeah, it's me.
I hope it is, because I will drive up there and punch you in the throat.
Yeah.
Come get some. No, that sucks, dude.
Yeah, it hadn't been fun. It hadn't been fun at all. And then I found out tonight that like there's really not much I can do about it. Really not.
You could hack his account.
Oh,
and just take it over.
But I'm not that tech savvy.
You could just hire somebody to do it.
Is it worth it? Like that's where I'm at right
now. No, it's totally worth it. Yeah, totally. I'm gonna get you, son of a bitch.
I mean, I want to, but you know. Yeah, so there's that. That has not been fun. I think there was some other event that I had that I was going to share, and I don't remember what it is now. But oh well, that's consumed my entire week. Padre,
what a waste of time! Like that, of all the things to be doing with your week.
Well, it really is. I mean, like I haven't posted any videos. Actually, I did post a video that was just being dumb the other day, but like I haven't been able to devote any time to any stuff that I would normally devote my time to outside of my normal job. And that, like, it's been ridiculous. All to find out that unless every video that I post out there, I file a copyright claim or file copyright. I don't know what the correct terminology is, but basically I copyright every video that I do. There's really nothing that there's really not a whole lot I can do about it.
Sure.
So, oh man,
it'll get fixed or it won't, right?
It probably won't. I am gonna, there are some things that I'm gonna do that I can talk about later. I'm not gonna talk about it on a live podcast. Not that anybody's gonna try to do anything to my namesake and all that. But it's been a nightmare.
Sure. Grant, thanks for being here.
Yeah, look, I can't miss it at this point. It's just a bi-weekly habit now. You cut me off. We're weekly. So I've been to my first 2 farmers markets, and then we heard back from the property we're trying to get, got it priced, and then ended up going and meeting with she's my great aunt yesterday, finalized a price so that could be given to the lawyer so she can write it up and submit it to the judge.
So is it a fair price or is it still overpriced?
No, it's $11,500 an acre. Yeah, it's a bad price, but again, it's still not bad.
You're trying to get under 10, right?
Yes, it should have been like 9, But overall, it's 13 acres of relatively very nice land with a 177-year-old house, with creek access. Um, it's not really nice. It's going to be, I think, about 176,000 said and done. They're paying
Pocket
closing.
change.
They're paying, well, not exactly, but they're paying closing. They're paying survey fees. They're paying everything, which comes out to be about 20,000.
Wow. Nice. All right. Going around. Shudra, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you.
What are you in, like, New York, right? That's where you're from?
Yeah, upstate New York. Where's it, Manhattan?
Thought I recognized that accent.
I'm in the southwest of Western Australia, which is not Australia. It's on the other side. It's like a different country to Australia. We do our own thing over here. So, and
it's very clearly daylight there, so you're not on U.S.
Padres
time.
in the dark, literally.
it is 9:38 in the morning. I fed all the goats, I fed the chickens, and I've chopped the wood, so I'm good to go. Done all my chores for the morning.
Nice.
Nice. Good. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And also 11, no, not 11. We have a total of 11 goats now after the birth of 5 kids over the last week and a half. So that's a new exciting development here.
I need to boost my volume. I can barely hear him. Can everybody hear him fine?
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It was okay. It was a little bit choppy.
Okay. Long story. It's been a while.
I've been a busy man.
Since you've been born.
Yeah. Well, no, I've been working a lot with Asia, so we've had a lot of late calls on Mondays, so it's been tough to make this. But yeah, so I guess I was giving a recap since I was last here of everything that's happened.
Something recent, I guess.
Yeah. So a couple things. We've had two calves born in the last couple months, which is cool. One's about 3.5 weeks old. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah. And we just got through getting our logo for our farm store that we're trying to open in our downtown. So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking at it on the floor right now. And we're going to put that up in the window and get our contractor in here right away. So hopefully that'll be able to open soon. And I learned a hard lesson of keeping animals longer than I should have that weren't right for our farm. And finally took them to the sale. I actually did pretty well. So that was a nice thing. Get rid of some pigs I was feeding for nothing, and some goats that weren't part of our future. So those are some big things that we've done lately.
Nice. Sounds like all good things.
Life's pretty good.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Padre, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm in the dark, working in the dark.
What's something recent?
I got a new greenhouse.
Hey, sweet.
like an actual greenhouse, not a hoop house that's going to blow away in the next storm.
I was going to say, is it made out of trampolines?
No. Well, it's made out of metal. It is metal construction and panels. It was actually given to me. We was over at a friend's house. If any of you are on YouTube, it's Dirt Rooster is his name. He does bee removals. So he called me and he's like, I got some bees I need a home for. I don't have any hives. Do you want them? I was like, yeah. So he's over there. His wife's like, hey, we got this greenhouse that's been here for 2 years and we never used it. Do you want it? Like, yes. So
wow.
It's nice. Grant's jealous.
It's not an expensive one, but it ain't a cheap one either. It's definitely higher than my budget. Other than that, we're in the busy season for markets. October, November I make a third of our income in these 2 months for the year.
Holy smokes.
And then getting my winter garden sown and growing. It's just been work.
Work. Cool. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So this past weekend, I went over to a neighbor's house and consulted them, on some electrical. that was it. That's all I did as far as any local authorities are concerned. I consulted on some electrical for my neighbor, and that was it. And in exchange, they're paying me part cash and part in stock tanks. So I saw some stock tanks in the yard. I'm like, how about some cash and those 2 stock tanks? He said, yep. So I'm upgrading my rain catchment. That's why I want the stock tanks.
So how many stock tanks did you get?
2.
I love
And
water.
then, yeah, they're little ones. They're like between 150 and 175 gallons, something like that. So I'll play them around the property. And then yesterday we went to a local place, picked some like 35 pounds of apples or something like that. Turned into, I don't know, we're going to can them and make applesauce and stuff. Picked up
Nice.
some pears. So yeah, it's a good weekend.
Apple butter. Have you ever
Apple
made
butter.
apple butter?
Oh yeah, I ate it for lunch today.
I have apple
Nice.
buttered 30 pounds of apples in the last 4 days.
We made a ton
Nice.
of it last year and canned it. We hadn't this year. Guess we need to.
Yeah.
It's time.
So here's tonight's topic. Jeremy said something the last time he was on. He said he didn't post a video of him doing something, that he was afraid of the backlash. And so last week, I called you up. I'm like, hey, you fake? What'd you tell me?
I was going to punch you in the throat.
Well, he's like, you're
what are
like,
you
what's
talking
your
about?
problem? Yeah. And so like I explained like what you said, and there was like something else because you were
Well, you couldn't
like,
remember. You couldn't remember what it was that I didn't post. You were trying.
yeah,
to
that
figure it
helped.
out.
That helped a lot. That I couldn't remember what I was mad at you about.
Which I think it's funny that he was mad at me without actually talking to me about it. Like
Yeah, I tried asking
I want to
him.
know how long you stewed on it before you said something to me.
I
What's
just want to
funny-
see the video.
Okay, so Jeremy said he got like a half. He bought half a cow, and he didn't post a video of him like putting beef in the freezer because it would piss off a bunch of his followers or something like that. And I'm like, why would you not post that? That's awesome. And
Right.
he was like,
Go ahead.
it's not worth it. It's not worth the headache of people leaving nasty comments. And I'm like, yeah, that's like part of your life. It's like you put like half a cow in your freezer. Like you should flaunt that. Like you should. So I'm like, what else are you hiding from me?
So can I just say though that it's odd that you would put on a public men's forum podcast style thing this topic and just out everybody with all their insecurities and precautions they take to protect themselves.
Hey, you know what?
Kind
I'm
of ironic,
outing.
right?
I'm gonna out myself too. I got like a list of things I'm gonna out myself on because I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. Like, hey, you're this type of guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not that type of guy, and I'll show you.
So let me. So Matt called me. He texted me. I even got to read the text to you, man. Like, 'cause it was.
I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. I couldn't.
No, I was
His
concerned.
humor is very dry.
He said, "Yo, dude,
So
what's
it's
up?" I
very
said,
hard to tell the difference.
"Oh, it is." But he texted me. He said, "Yo, dude, what's up?" And I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Missed you on Monday." I said, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder." Blah blah blah. Busy, fair enough. Wanted to call you on something, but I'm a gentleman. Wasn't going to do it behind your back. Your entire social media. I'm like, well, that doesn't narrow it down. Like, and he wouldn't tell me through text. He's like,
No.
"We got to talk." I said, "Is it the equivalent of we need to talk?" And he goes, "It depends on your answer." So, and then he calls me. So like I was like, dude, what's he like? Part of me didn't really care, but part of me did. Like part of me was like, so what? Matt's pissed at me about something. What did I don't. You know? But it was a valid point though. Like, am I being fake on social media? And I think we had a good conversation about it. And
We
the
did.
post that Matt was talking about is I had posted on Instagram. So we bought a half a cow and a half a hog this year, which is something that we've wanted to do for a long time. And I posted a picture on Instagram with just everything that we did, what it cost, the process, just in the description. And I lost 500 followers, like that. Now, I mean, like I got 30,000. I mean, but like 500 is still a lot. But like it made a big dent. Like it dropped me below a threshold that I noticed, and it was all over the course of like 2 or 3 days. And I was like, dang, it has to be related to that post. And so like a lot of the followers that I had out there, I guess are probably like animal rights people maybe, and or they see that I'm taking care of chickens, and then I don't know, they think that you shouldn't eat meat maybe. I don't know what, but I lost 500 followers, and it gave me pause to think, well, should I post this video out there on TikTok or on Instagram and potentially, you know, take, you know, 30,000 Instagram followers to 25,000, or, you know, drop my TikTok following by 20,000. I don't know. I mean, like, is it worth losing that many followers to post this video out there?
Yes.
And then is it worth the backlash that I might receive from it?
Also, yes.
By way of negative comments. Well, but that every person's different in what they think is worth it. Do I want to deal with the backlash and the headache of that? And I not made up my mind. It was just I need to think about this before I post it. And so that's what made Matt think, I need to call you out on this. We need to talk about this. Are you being fake? And it's not, I don't know that I'm being fake. It's that I'm being cautious. If I had 2,000 followers, I wouldn't care. But I've got 30,000 on Instagram and 250,000 on TikTok. And like, I make money off of those, you know, off of video views. And if you like, it's a source of income. Like, so you have to think about it a little bit and be strategic.
And this is how he flexed on me when we talked. He's like, you know, not to like put you down or nothing, but you know,
no,
I remember.
I did say that. I did say that
10,000
because you irritated you because you did irritate me a little bit, but like there was another example that I gave you that I'm not going to share on here, but like if I had posted a video about what I had done to how I had handled the situation, the animal rights activists would have come out. My account would be flagged and taken down. And it's like, I can't at 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers on TikTok. I don't, the consequences aren't as big, I guess, you know, whereas
I can understand that.
I've built up what I've built, and it's like, I gotta tread lightly, because if I piss off the wrong person, if the wrong claims are made, TikTok will pull you down like that if you're not careful. Like, I have to be careful with what I post. Is it that I'm trying to hide something? No. Is it that I'm being fake? I don't think so. It's just I choose not to share it because I don't want to deal with the backlash.
I think what you're doing is fine. I mean, you're catering a product to
Matt doesn't.
If you're, I don't get income from any of my social media, so I can't really speak. But to me, you're a company tailoring a product to a audience, to a customer base.
But you don't want to be. But to Matt's point, though, you don't want to be disingenuous. And I'm not. I don't feel like I am anyway.
No, I was doxxed twice last year, so I am well aware of what backlash looks like from a post on Twitter. So I get it. I can see both sides of the argument there.
Now, are there other things about my life that I don't share out there? Absolutely. I choose not to share because I don't want to disclose them. It's my personal life. My real name, Jeremy's not even out there on my channels. A lot of people know what my real name is, but like nobody knows what my full name is, where I live, who I really am. Or if they do, I don't know about it.
That's fair. The story that I told you last week was there was somebody that I interviewed, and I'm friends with them, and they're nice people. They're great. We even bought a quarter cow and half a pig from them last year, I think it was. But I will not do it like through like social media. We are like not friends because I can't. I don't know. I can't. What was the word I used? I don't remember. I just can't be a part of whatever it is, like how they conduct themselves online. Like they're playing too much into the algorithm. Like they they're doing things just for the likes and the clicks and the this and that. Like I'm
Like, is it like clickbaiting or is it more of just like rage baiting
clickbaiting.
in a fake way?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
So it's like if that's how you want to be, like that's fine, but I don't have to endorse that. Like I'm not gonna have that around. So
Right.
I have friends in real life that I actually met on Twitter, and I no longer follow on Twitter. For this reason, their accounts changed. They began doing what you're talking about,
mhm.
and I just completely disassociate with them online. But in real life, they're a completely different person. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah.
So
They
they're
have a
good.
social mask.
Yeah,
Yep.
they have a social mask. In real life, they are a person that I can call on if I need them. They'll always be there. But online, they come off as the type of person that's just a jerk. I was about to say something else. I don't know if I can cuss on here or not today.
So here's something. Here, I'll out myself right now. This milk that I'm drinking, like, yeah, we buy some raw milk, but this is Costco milk. You know why? Because it tastes awesome. It tastes really good. I like the way Costco milk tastes. That's not very trad of me. Or like, but I even posted a picture of my fridge one time where it was like almost all the A2 Costco milk. It's like still a slave to the system.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I mean, we're all consumers.
Yeah.
You know, we try to grow as much as we can, but and here's the other thing is it's some people, and I have seen people say this, and I've even commented and said, don't get the wrong impression that we are a self-sufficient homestead, because that is not it at
Sure.
all. We are. I dislike the system, the supply chain, the way that it is. I think everybody should try to grow some of their own, and it's a process, and that's
Mhm.
we're in that process somewhere. We don't buy everything from the store, and we don't grow everything. We're somewhere in the middle there. And
You're
every year I
supplementing
wanna,
everything you can until you can fully sustain yourself.
and will we
Yep.
ever get there? Probably not. Most people, I mean, Joel Salatin even said that it's almost impossible to live 100% self-sufficient.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
if somebody can do it, Joel Salatin would be the one that I would say would do it.
Or Guy
Well,
Alaska.
Yeah.
if you go back 250, 300 years ago, where people tried to model their lives off of, people still traded, people still bought at the general store.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, you still depended on others for other things. Go back 1,000 years, 2,000 years. It's always been the same thing. You know,
Yeah, I mean, Roman Empire, all that. I mean, everything. Yeah.
I went out myself this past Saturday. I went to Starbucks,
Ooh, that's crossing a line. I'm just
and
kidding.
I enjoyed my triple venti white mocha.
But like all right, so we I like eating a good home cooked meal, right? You go out the garden, pick stuff, you buy stuff. I mean, like we bought a half a cow, so like it's we're buying from reputable sources. We're not buying big box. So we're trying to supplement and do things more sustainable. But like we go out to eat all the time. I mean, we both work very busy, high stress jobs, and now when we go out to eat, we eat at places that are local and clean. We're not eating fast food and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I mean, I go eat, you know, we go eat out all the time. I mean, I don't know. I mean, am I hiding that online? I mean, am I being an imposter by not disclosing that online though?
I don't think so. You've said it here several times.
I mean, you
So-
simply can't share every detail of your life online. I mean, I guess you
Right.
could, but who
That's the thing. Nobody wants to see that.
That's not true. Instagram was just made for taking pictures of your meal and sharing where you're going out to eat.
It was. Maybe I should start posting those out there on my
You're like, Dewey eats donuts, and That-
tweets.
just do that.
Do eat donuts.
But like, it's also like, deception is like another form of like lie or omission,
Sure.
lie by omission, or something like that. So like maybe you talk about. I'm saying you like generally, not like you
Right,
specifically.
not me. Right.
Right. Just like, hey, I'm gardening, I'm working in the kitchen, I blah blah blah, and so like, oh, so he's not showing himself doing all these other things, but he actually is doing all these other things, but it's not how it looks online. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah. So I actually have a video in my queue on TikTok, and I want to redo it. But basically, it's just it's a quick little like. The title is "I Got Called Crunchy for the First Time," and so like it's point of view. You got called crunchy for the first time, and you got to keep up appearances. So I'm cracking a beer and eating a burger, like stuff like.
Can I
To
interrupt?
point out like I'm not. Huh?
Can I interrupt and ask what crunchy means?
Like all natural, like yeah, like you make homemade deodorant, you make your soaps, you
Oh, okay.
Didn't you guys hear
Padre-
about the? Didn't you hear about the crunchy to alt right pipeline
Yeah,
and how
man.
that was like a thing?
I got that irritated the crap out of me because I ended up down that rabbit hole. And most of the people who say that are just straight up retarded. They're
you
just
can't say that
they're
out here,
just-
Grant. You can't say that out here.
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
I don't
man.
know what is this crunchy to alt right pipeline.
Oh,
What does
man,
that mean?
I brought
I
it
don't
up
know
in the
anything about it.
Telegram. I brought it up in the Telegram one time.
Nobody listens
And,
to you, Grant.
There was an article in like Vice or the Atlantic or Vox or one of those types of magazines that was talking about this family that was at a farmer's market somewhere in the Midwest or something, and it turns out the mom, who's this crunchy mom, is also like has some what is that, like Viking username avatar on some alt-right white supremacist website or something. And
Oh
so
wow.
it was like making this connection that these people, these back to the landers, are all heading down this right-wing path. And because a lot of times you talk about like when I was younger, Mother Earth News, it didn't generally show up at Republican households. You know what I'm saying? Like it was considered kind of a left-wing kind of
Yeah.
hippie thing, the back to the lander thing. And they're saying that it's all switched now. So they're kind of turning it into this right-wing trope or something. And I think what's really happened is a lot of people want more authenticity. I don't think their politics is really the driver. But anyway, that's an opinion. But
It's funny you say that because my dad, who is 64 years old, calls me the family hippie because of how I live. But I'm actually pretty conservative. So
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's like they've turned like almost like I feel like it's a way to target self-sufficiency with headlines, pretty much.
Yeah, if you tie self-sufficiency, stepping away from the system, to right wing.
Right wing extremism.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's
well, here's my theory. I think it's got a lot to do with preppers. I think there's a blending in this view of homesteaders and preppers.
Yeah.
Preppers, I think,
That's where I got my. That's where I came to. That's how I came to
I
homesteading.
started in prepping.
Yeah.
I got here. Yep.
I started with like, hey, I need some backup food supplies. To well, hey, what if something happens? I have to be able to replenish this. I need to learn how to grow it.
Yeah.
Kind of
I
natural
live in
evolution.
Hurricane.
I grew up.
Always been.
Yeah. I grew up. My mom and dad had 6 tons of wheat in their basement. And at one point, 900 quarts of canned food, like several 5-gallon buckets of honey. That's the way I grew up. I like, when I look at my pantry when I was like in my early 20s living in a townhouse in Miami or whatever, I'm looking at my freaking pantry and panicking because it's like feels unnatural not to have a deep, like just to be able to walk in and go, oh, nothing new from the store. Oh, that's no problem. We'll just go grab a box of 3-year-old pasta. We got dinner. It
really is a nice feeling.
Yeah, it's a huge peace of mind. And when I started getting more into kind of prepping and really, it happened really right. My dad passed away in 2011, and that's when I kind of really started I didn't have my dad there anymore. So it's felt like this is what I need to be taken care of to take care of my own family. And when I started doing it, I was on a business trip and the power went out, and it's all these problems. And my wife actually called me up, and she goes, "Man, everybody on Facebook's like freaking out because they don't have any Diet Coke." And she's like, "I've got propane, gasoline, I've got a generator, I've got all the food I need. I'm set." And she's like, "Huge peace of mind. Thank you so much for getting that stuff in order." And it's like that's what you do it for, right? I mean, that's what I do it for, at least. So
No, agreed. Like
I don't have any Diet Coke in my pantry either. Just by the way.
I know you're a SodaStream kind of guy. I get it. We are too. It just doesn't taste the same. I want to throw it away.
What,
like
SodaStream?
my
Yeah.
Mexican Coke, so.
So
What'd you
don't
say,
like
Patre?
So I don't like my Mexican Coke.
Mexican Coke is hard to beat. It's pretty good.
So you're saying you don't like the SodaStream as much as
No, it tastes weird. It's not the same. It's not the same flavor. It's close, but it's not close enough. So I also just don't drink it. I don't really care for it.
I don't either.
But are you talking about like flavoring?
Yeah, SodaStream is like at-home carbonation drinks.
I just do carbonated water with my little thing. I don't do anything flavored. I guess are you flavoring it?
So like you got to do the thingy. You got to put the carbonation in it and then add the syrup.
Yeah,
What?
that doesn't happen at my house.
Add the what? The syrup?
Syrup?
Syrup. It's like you said syrup.
Syrup.
Never mind.
Okay.
Down
I'm
here, we
making fun of the way you said it.
down here we pronounce it syrup.
Syrup. That's right.
Syrup?
Oh, I forgot I'm with a bunch of Southerners. Like this is
Did you say syrup? How did you say that?
He also rolled his R like syrup.
like I'm Scottish.
That's why I was making fun of you.
I don't hear it. I only hear
That's
it the wrong way you guys say it. So,
Mhm.
so what else? Like what some other things like I think Padre had touched on where there's like his friends in real life versus friends online. There are some people online that I've actually interviewed or tried to interview, and over time I'm just like, I can't even follow you anymore. Just like you're so dramatic all the time. You're constantly starting like fights and stuff. I just I can't even be a part
Drama.
of this.
You don't need that.
Just drop them. Just like, yeah, thanks for that. I'm done. See ya.
I mean, my Twitter account is pretty much me. There's no difference between the real me and what I post on Twitter. It's what I do every day. The only thing that I omit from my tweets is anything that can identify me, because Joel Salatin has the saying everything I want to do is illegal. I have the alternate saying everything I do is illegal. So yeah. There's very little I do on here that's actually legal. The electricity, I've done all my own electricity. It's not hard. Black is negative, red is positive. You can't go wrong. So yeah, pretty much what you see is what you get. The Twitter me in real life is the person you're going to talk to. It's just I've stripped everything away that could possibly dox me.
I bet his real name isn't even Shudra.
Yep, you'd think. but then you have to ask the question: who is more real, Shudra or that other guy who doesn't appear on Twitter? I mean, who's the more real me in the end?
Deep questions.
I don't, our account, I run it as a farm account, so I try to avoid topics that are too far from things that seem relevant. I'll make a couple of comments, political comments every now and then, but mostly I talk about, the farm and what we're doing there and homeschooling. And, I try to avoid some of those other topics only because it's a farm account. I had a Twitter account for a long time. It was kind of just typical libertarian style stuff. And I actually think I connected with Shudra on that account a long time ago. It was aware of his account back then. And it was just very typical stuff. And I don't really like to fight, so it wasn't really that fun to have a political account you didn't fight with. So this is a lot more like, isn't necessarily the real me in the sense it doesn't represent everything that I do. Doesn't have anything to do with my job, stuff like that. But it's the me I aspire to be when I'm no longer working for the man, so to speak. It's what you would get if I were a full-time farmer. So that's as authentic as I can be. That's what I want, for my life. So
Right.
Well, I mean,
and
just
ahead, Potter.
today, I removed my personal self from my Twitter account. So my main Twitter account now will be all garden, farm. Moving in the winter, there'll be some hunting stuff on there, things like that. Yeah, I made the decision to remove my personal views from that account.
I spun
So-
up my personal account alongside my Farm Hop Life account just so I could talk about stuff that wasn't farm related, because once I was like, well, if I'm actually going to have like Farm Hop Life as like a business, it should be treated business like. Now, it doesn't mean like everything's like all sterile and stuff. Like, you still got to be authentic, Jeremy.
Yep, and I do have a personal Twitter account now that has a lot less followers. But
once I did that, once I separated the two, like, and just did farm content on Farm Hop Life, like engagement went up, followers went up. Not that the engagement is more what I care about. The followers, and I don't really care. Like, oh, whatever. Like,
The
it's like,
engagement is definitely always fun.
it is. If it's the good kind of engagement and not just
Yes.
like trash engagement.
That's right.
So like, I'll ask. I like asking questions. I like posting pictures. I like just sharing things that I've learned. So
it's definitely
what I like
fun.
to post.
It's definitely interesting because a lot of I'll ask a question and I'll have a video that has 10,000 views, but it will have like 1,000 comments. And I would rather have that than the million view video with like no engagement.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a trade-off there. I mean, the million view video makes money to pay for some of the other stuff, but like I guess so they both have value. But like I enjoy the engagement for sure. It's a lot of fun. The back to what Long Story was saying, and this came up with Matt and I last week or the week before, whenever it was, is like my account started with prepping, and actually I think like my first video was like a political-ish video, and early on my account had a lot of political type videos, and I've gone through and since removed those videos because I realized the further I got into my account was I didn't want to be divisive, and I have my own personal beliefs on things, and my personal beliefs have evolved and changed over the years, but I didn't want to be divisive. So yeah, I mean, like I have very strong beliefs on the way that on what I think is right and wrong, and political beliefs and about our government and our system. And I try to not post a ton of that out there because it is divisive. And I would much rather educate people and entertain people in the sense of getting them to maybe own chickens or a garden, start their first garden. Like I heard somebody say, hey, you're the reason that I started my first garden. Like I started my first garden this year because of your videos. Like to me, that means more than anything, to inspire people.
Yeah.
And like, do you inspire people, and do you get people to step out of their comfort zone and start a garden or get chickens by being divisive? No, you don't. So I don't post that kind of stuff out there. I used to, but I don't anymore. So am I being deceptive? I don't think so. I just choose not to post it because I don't want to be divisive. I don't want to be that guy anymore.
When I get messages from people like I'll post an interview and be like, people that are doing way more than I am, be like, wow, this was an awesome interview. I learned blah 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 blah. Like it blows me away because I'm just like, I assumed you would have known that already, but like, I guess I'm asking good questions that these other people are, also getting value from whatever I'm asking and talking about.
Yep. Yeah, I had so my cousin came and spent the night. My cousin and his girlfriend came and spent the night with us this past weekend, and like I don't tell people, like people that I know, I don't tell them about my social media account, just because I don't know. I tried for a very long time to keep, and maybe you've got a problem with that, Matt. I don't know. But I tried to keep like people that I knew in person from finding this account, just because I didn't want the attention. I didn't want the I don't know. I just didn't want people that I knew saying, "Oh, you got a TikTok account or whatever." I don't know.
Yeah, it turns out nobody cares. So go ahead.
Well, you say
Well,
that.
I found that out, but like, so they came by and it's like, they're like, "Hey, I kind of want to have chickens." And it's like, it took everything in me to not say, "Well, hey, go check out my Twitter account, but TikTok account." It's, I was going somewhere with it. I don't remember now, but
You say people don't care. I have a brother that hasn't spoken to me in 2 years because of one tweet that I tweeted.
What did you tweet?
right.
Boy, I bet it was a banger.
It was actually a political tweet, and it was
Shocking.
right. I don't even remember what I said now. He doesn't remember what I said now.
But y'all still aren't talking.
I've tried several times. He will not talk to me. I angered him deeply. He was like, I didn't know you had views like that.
What to send a certain people into a wood chipper? Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about that is, some of the views that you have, what I find at least is, the more you get involved in, real things, like tangible things that you can touch, that you can feel, and especially when you're involved in nature, I don't know, you cannot stay the same. And I'll say that, like, the other thing that happened to me is I lived 3 years in, and well, more than that, but I've lived in Mexico and Chile. When you live in other countries, you come back to the U.S. I don't know what Shudra would think of this, but the press is different, and all of a sudden your views are completely, like, you're like, wait a minute, why did I think that Fox News and CNN and MSNBC were like, why do I think that was a reasonable source of anything, really? I mean, it all sounds so shrill when you've left the country and come back, and then we start touching real things and actually being involved with nature. It makes it feel even more shrill. That's my point of view, at least. And I don't think you can say the same. I don't think you can keep the same politics. And I don't necessarily think that it becomes, that I'm less of a traditionalist or a conservative, or, in favor of traditional values and kind of a limited, constitutionalist government or republic. But I don't see the people that claim to support those things as being a true alternative or even a real solution to the problems that we face. So my views, what I think I want for society hasn't changed at all, but I no longer see the people that offer themselves as solutions to be, anything other than propaganda or con men. So I don't know.
Well, I think especially living a lifestyle close to nature like we do, there's definitely change that takes place. So if I look at myself 12 years ago, I was very, very super conservative. I was a supporter of big business. CEOs were the saviors, blah, blah, blah. Now, while I still hold conservative values, I'm very much environmentalist, especially in my local area. Working with nature has given me a deeper appreciation than I've ever had. And it's kind of strange because I grew up rurally out in the middle of nowhere. And, it's just different being in it versus working with it. And I think, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's natural to grow and change. The post I made that made my brother mad, 3 years ago. I no longer hold those views anymore. There's the crazy thing about him not talking to me anymore. I don't hold those views anymore, but I said it, and it was divisive,
And that was enough.
and that was enough. So now, if you look at my Twitter, I really don't post anything political at all. I learned my lesson there.
To say what you and Long Story had said, kind of play off that, is the more you get outside and the more you build and the more you do dig in the dirt, tend to animals, the more it comes to realize that none of it truly matters. And it starts to get very frustrating because it's like everybody else gets continuously dragged into it, caught up into it, swept away by the newest, hottest title, but you just couldn't really care less, you know. And to say what Padre just said, you know, about being like super big business, and you come to realize the people who run these big businesses, it's just pretty much all the same people, and it's all become subsidized corporatism. And so I get so exhausted listening to people still bicker back and forth about the same crap that both sides are in on, when you need to go stock your pantry, or you need to go straighten up your yard, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. Everybody's trying to fix the world instead of their community and their households.
Well, they think that one side's going to fix everything, when in reality, what fixes everything is people not trusting the system and depending more on themselves and less on the system.
Well, I think what you're both really saying is that the political system is offering abstractions that really, when you start dealing with things that are tangible, those abstractions just start to feel, you know,
Irrelevant.
irrelevant. I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, when you start abstracting a solution at a global level for global warming, what are you even talking about? Like, what are you talking about? It's like, what's one thing
You're
I love
talking.
about
You're
Shudra.
talking about money is what you're talking about. You're
Yeah,
talking
so
about funding, lining the richest pockets even more through claiming that we're going to fix climate change. Like,
Which usually involves more subsidization of a field that probably does more harm to natural ecosystems than anything else.
But they can talk about these things in these big abstract terms that don't mean anything. And like what I was going to say is, what I love about Shudra's post is basically he's just really consistent. Plant trees, tend livestock. You know, I mean, that's not abstract. If you go tell someone, hey, global warming's a problem, why don't you go plant 10 trees every 6 months? That'll fix things. Well, nobody makes money for that, you know. But if you make this grand abstraction, you can create a permanent bureaucracy that feeds that abstraction and will never solve the problem. Whether by design or not, it'll just never solve the problem.
I believe it's by design.
Real
If
people are watching and paying attention to everything that people post. So like the fact that some of us can just like drop somebody that, you know, even if you align with them, like politically and, you know, lifestyle, all these things, like, oh yeah, you know, they're pretty cool, but you know, I just
sometimes
things that you post, like you just got to drop them because like they're actually fake. Like,
I'm dealing
you're
with
just
this
not
problem.
authentic, so you got to drop them. And just like you can pull the wool over some people's eyes, but the ones like true connections, like here, like everybody here, like we're
except
we're
for me,
authentic
apparently.
people. You're fine. You get a you're fine. I vetted you. You're fine.
He texted me today. He goes, "We good?"
I didn't hear from you after we hung up.
I didn't think that there was a response needed. I thought we were good.
Just making sure. I'd have to call you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We're good.
I'm kind of going through what you're talking about, Matt, with like kind of people cutting people out on Twitter. But this is more, I don't post anything really anywhere. I
You
try
don't
to
post
keep
at all.
I try to keep exactly because I try not to say too much because believe it or not, in person,
You've never tried to not say too much, Grant.
in person, I can be considered abrasive and sometimes offensive. And when I think every time I'm trying to
Versus
post
online?
something online, yeah, or reply to somebody, especially when it has like my name attached, when it's like on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, or TikTok, it's just like, is it really worth me taking the energy to reply to this person who's probably too stupid to understand what I'm saying? And then I just move on.
I
But
struggle with
I've been dealing with, because I don't want people to know what I think, because I don't want them to have any somewhat ammunition against me to use in kind of any way. It's like, oh, blah 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 blah, like you removed all your old videos, but I'm dealing with this irritating person in real life, um, and they're not. It's like they're living in their head and not in reality when it comes to like the whole idea of gardening and making money from it. They're becoming it's becoming to a point, it's too much energy for me to interact with them for such a short period of time.
That's why on my Twitter, I'm a lot of people know me for posting my fails and posting my hardships because there is such this.
authenticity.
Yeah, I try to give them some authenticity because it's not easy to do. There's this fantasy that exists of what self-sufficiency or homesteading or whatever you want to call it supposed to
Mhm.
be, and I try to burst bubbles as much as possible, using my own uh, real life situations. Grant knows many of the hardships I've been through. Matt knows many of the hardships I've been through, and I tell people this is what happens, and it sucks, and it's part of it. You just got to move on. And I have turned people off from wanting to garden and homestead. But like Jeremy, a year and a half ago, I posted a tweet about, I was like, if you live in an apartment building, grab a 5-gallon bucket of potato and plant it on your balcony. I had photo after photo after photo in my DMs. People, oh my God, I've grown my first plant. I've grown my first plant. Look at this. I was excited.
It's an amazing feeling to inspire someone.
It is. So, you have to inspire where you can, and you have to be real everywhere else, and
Yep.
and just let people know, because I've met so many people that went into this thinking, oh, I'm going to go buy 20 acres and a bunch of goats and a bunch of chickens and plant a big garden, and 6 months later they're selling everything because they're in over their heads.
Uh-huh. Yep. I was telling my cousin this the other day that, I've failed so many times at trying to garden. I've lost chickens because I screwed up somewhere and I didn't take care of them like I should have. I didn't protect them from predators. Like, I've done all these things, and my wife says, specifically to gardening, well, if you keep failing every year, why do you keep doing this? I said, well, because eventually I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, she goes, okay. Like that's like, so yeah, to your point, Padre, like, you don't go buy 20 acres and go jump head first into it. I mean, you can, but you're probably going to have a lot of hardships. Like, ease into it, step into it. This year grow three different vegetables, and next year grow 5, and then 10, and then 50. I mean, like step into things. Like, get
I have a hard
chickens
time
or
with that.
quail, or yeah, I'm sure you do. But like, start small and then work your way up, because it becomes addictive
Mhm.
to start growing stuff and thinking, well, now what can I plant? Like, I had, man, I no joke, I probably had 30 plants this year that I had nowhere to put them.
Yeah.
Nowhere to put them.
Yeah, that always happens. Then you just gotta build more raised beds. Because I started with 8, then had 12, then had 30, and then 50, and now I have 80. So
Every spring, if you go into I call it my seed house, I have way more plants than I got room for. I'm ridiculous about it.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up
But,
with about 100 tomatoes too many, and I just started planting them in the yard.
Jeremy, what you said about failures, I can honestly say over the past decade, I've had more failures than I've had successes.
Same.
But because of those failures, my successes are bigger than my failures.
Yep.
So that's
Well, and a failure. And here's the thing, though, and I say this to people all the time. I probably should say it in a video because I don't know that I ever have. But like, failures are a good thing as long as you learn from them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but
But
Sorry for that. I think there's a level of conscientiousness among some people that allows them to be persistent, and there's persistence and there's conscientiousness that not everybody has, and then there's probably some other qualities that people have that make them more prone to actually examine and see what's working. I mean, the permaculture principle, observe and interact. Like a lot of people don't do that. Like they look at gardening as following a recipe, so like, I got the recipe from the ladies auxiliary cookbook, and I made the casserole, and they think gardening is going to be the same thing. But you got to be watchful, you got to be observing, interacting, because you don't know which pest is going to show up. You don't know which pest is going to show up when. I mean, we went 2 seasons with no squash bugs, and all of a sudden they wiped out everything, and I wasn't able to keep up with them, but we know how to control them. If we see them, we find them in time, we can control them. But again, I think there's people that are going to be generally going to be successful or more persistent at least, and that can observe and interact and actually learn from it. But I see a lot of people getting out right now. So
getting out of trying to grow their own food,
out of homesteading in general.
Really?
Here, yeah.
Where are you at?
I'm in South Carolina.
Like, and I just see, like, and maybe it's just what I see online, but like I see a lot of people getting into it.
I think there's a cycle right now. I think there's a flow.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I see people selling goats.
For me, I've been a habitual Craigslist browser for about 15 years now. And usually going into fall, going into winter, a lot of people will sell off herds. They'll sell off a lot of livestock. And now is probably when you're seeing a lot of people jump ship. Specifically is because they couldn't make it during the spring and summer. They're not going to make it during the fall and winter.
They bought that 20 acres thinking they were going to be successful.
And see, there's a difference between you can jump in head first, but you better be ready to handle the task ahead of you. So for me, I don't really like to think of it jumping in head first, hit the ground running. So if we get this land, it's 13 acres. That's 13 acres that needs severe rehabilitation on every single level, from rebuilding the soil to taking back lost fence lines and property lines, to thinning out dead trees, giving better forest and pasture ratios, all kinds of different things. But at the same time, we learn in like landscaping and horticulture, you don't really want to mess with your landscape if it's a new place for the first year or two, because you don't know the sun yet, you don't know the weather yet, you don't know how you need to structure and lay out your land. The same thing can be used in the permaculture and way when you're building your landscape to be an edible food forest. You kind of need to know the land you're working with before you really start to try to change it and work with it.
Yeah, I mean, like if you go and you buy a couple acres, observe it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Observe where the sun sets, where the dew settles, where the shade is, where the wind blows. Yeah.
Yeah, and even then, I've been on this property for 10 years now, and I'm still learning stuff about the property.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think a lot of people jump into it, even go the route you guys are talking about, and then think they know it all on year 3.
Yeah, the minute you think that you've got it all figured out, you have deceived yourself.
Like,
and there's some people that thrive. They thrive on jumping into head first, going all in, and being put up under that stress. They are there. I've met them.
He's right there.
I would say that's kind of me, but at the same time, when I'm looking at this, I've already done all the math on what it takes per pound to grow out chicken, how much food I need, all the things I need for all the things I plan to do. So I have the material I need before I start. So when I order 300 chickens, I can make sure they get finished. And when I start my, ideally, if we can get this and I can get enough material, I'd like to have 33,000 square feet basically under production. So that's ideal. You also have to be realistic that you may only have I may only have a quarter of that under production within the first couple of years.
Well, I mean, I'll say I'm probably one of the people that likes to always be overloaded. I kind of thrive on that stress. But one of the things that's happened to me, especially with my day job being a little more demanding in the last, especially the last 8 or 9 months, is that I can't keep up. Like I can't. So that's one reason that getting rid of those 4 pigs and those 2 goats a couple weekends ago was such a big deal to me. Because like I was not, I was spending time and energy containing animals that don't want to be contained and are good at getting out. And I was, providing feed for them, and they had I had no place for them in my farm. I didn't have any plan to use them in my farm, not as a meat animal, not as a breeding animal. I just didn't have a use for them. And it took me forever. It took me like 6 months to kind of finally just make the decision that no, in fact, I'm never going to butcher that hog, and I don't have time to deal with this. It's time to move them out. And I actually got like $650 from the sale on animals that were just costing me money. And I think that's the other thing that some people do in this thing is they like, if you're a hoarder of animals, that's an expensive habit. Like it's one thing to have like a mail order habit and be, buying crap online or whatever and stick it in your spare bedroom. It's a whole nother thing to have a live animal out there, eating 50 pounds of feed a day. It gets pretty expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have a horse because they're expensive lawn ornaments.
Yes.
Yeah.
I keep telling my wife that 'cause she desperately wants a horse, and I don't.
I want a horse
Nope.
to ride. But yeah, it's probably cheaper to go just ride.
Yeah.
Pay a
Well,
ride
and
somewhere.
there's a lot of decisions like that in homesteading that I think people are not good at making either. It's like, what's the thing that I should do versus what I should pay someone to do? What should I buy versus make? And we going back to the idea of being, fully self-sufficient as an individual, which is, a fool's errand. But people go off on that fool's errand hardcore, like we were saying, jump in with both feet, and then they're sitting there going, oh well, I have to learn small engine repair and beekeeping and candle making and soap making and small scale grain production and animal husbandry. I mean, you can't do all of that in the space of a couple of years. It takes probably 3 or 4, right? I'm just kidding. But anyway, takes a while.
Onto that, if you were to start, because everything you just said, I fully intend to do, but you have to be realistic about your expectations.
Right.
Are you going to be producing honey at full production, soap at full production, candles at full production? No, you're gonna start, and then as you learn and get better, know what you're doing, then you can scale. But if I want to grow, 10 by 10 plot of wheat, a 10 by 10 plot of amaranth, some oats, and this to help kind of understand if you ever really had to get into where you needed to grow your own grain to feed your chickens and to have some excess on hand, it's helpful to know. But the expectation I think of a lot of people get is going into this being able to just start everything right away. And what I've been wanting to bring up that I get told quite frequently is it's not a sprint, it's a whatever. Y'all know the saying.
It's a marathon.
It's not a sprint. It's a whatever.
It's a whatever.
It's not a sprint. It's
Grant's
a
like,
marathon.
yeah, I thought that was stupid. So I sprint all the time. I sprint everywhere I go.
So you take that as you do, but it's also I'd like to get some stuff done. My marathon may be a faster marathon than your sprint.
Well, back to the self-sufficiency thing. One thing I like to bring up to people when they talk about it is, like, okay, you're going to be self-sufficient with your food. You're going to grow 100%. Cool. How are you going to store it? And 9 out of 10 of them say, I'm going to can it. And then my question is, where are you going to get the jars and the lids?
Yep.
Or
I'm gonna blow some glass.
You can hoard them, but eventually they run out.
Eventually they run out. So, or candle making. Talk about learning the skill of candle making. Where are you going to get your wax?
Your bees.
Bees.
That's a lot of
else's
bees.
bees. I don't
That's a
know.
lot of bees. But see, you just said it's someone else's bees. It's not your bees. You're no longer self-sufficient.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to get into candle making unless it's really just kind of to use the beeswax you have from having bees. More for
We
personal use.
we make candles. We sell a lot of candles here. Um, I use soy wax. All my wax comes from a soy farm in Louisiana, right next door to me. So it's so hard. It's almost impossible to be self-sufficient, completely
Mhm.
self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So you can learn things like smoking meat or pickling, or I'm making sauerkraut right now, fermenting foods, and those are all great.
Like
Storage.
making vinegar. That's one rabbit
Well,
hole I went down.
Padre, go look what you just said. How many people have salt on hand to do fermented foods? Because they'll say, I'm going to make sauerkraut, I'll salt it, I'll cure my own meats. But man, if you're going to do that, if you're going to make sauerkraut and cure meats, you need hundreds of pounds of salt.
Yes.
Hundreds of pounds of salt.
Exactly.
And by the way, it can't be iodized, and you need to have probably some pink salt on hand, unless you're really brave and you want to go, assume away the risk of botulism, or you're going to try celery juice powder. Which, how are you going to grow that much celery, especially in a place like where we live? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that people are underestimating that you would have to have either the ability to trade for, or you'd have to stockpile. And
Absolutely. And
it's
and I have
crazy.
I have about 70 pounds of Himalayan salt that I got at an insane discount from like a place like Big Lots. And so that's, I think, like you do, you're not, come at this from a prepper's perspective of if the current trade systems we have go down, you have to be able to have a stockpile. So if you need to do cured meats, you have the salt. If you need to can 500 pounds of fruit you've managed to accumulate through the spring and summer, you have enough sugar to make sure you can can it all.
And see, now, salt hoarding is possible, because we live in a day and age where we have pretty easy access to salt.
It's cheap
for
for the most part.
Look back through history, salt was worth gold.
Mhm.
I have made my own salt. I live near the ocean. It's not an easy process, and it is a long process. You salt water in a canister and let the sun evaporate all the water, and it takes forever. But you
don't get much out of it either.
No, you don't. So it's if you want to be self-sufficient, you gotta. There's ways. There's ways. You can have a root cellar. You can grow a lot of root crops to overwinter in your root cellar, and then, but the variety of what you're eating is going to be greatly reduced, and I don't think most people are prepared for that. I'm not prepared for that.
No, not at all.
I'm going to be honest. I like the fact that I can buy Mexican strawberries in December.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing that's interesting. I lived in upstate New York for a couple of years, and I was probably neighbors with Shooter. But anyway, I was in upstate New York, and there's these Amish, a lot of Amish around there. And I read an article in one of the little local newspaper things, and it was saying that the Amish understand the cost of a head of lettuce in January. And I think that's another thing people don't quite understand. Like you're saying, Padre, if you're truly facing some sort of self-sufficiency goal or need, how much is it going to cost you to have a head of lettuce or broccoli or whatever it is in January? That it's something most people can't calculate.
Yeah. So where you're at in South Carolina, or where Matt's at, that's lettuce is not happening in January. Where I live, I grow lettuce in January.
Lettuce sucks anyways.
I can grow it in January, but it grows about like a quarter inch a month or something. It grows pretty slow.
I mean,
throw it in a greenhouse and heat it.
Yeah. No, I've got all that stuff, and I've got tropical citrus in zone 8A, so I'm doing all that stuff. But
what I was going to say,
can't grow lettuce.
What you said about the reduction of variety is, in honest, that's a luxury that we have now, like ice. That if we're in a true self-sufficient situation, we're not going to have that luxury anymore. And
that's
I think that's almost dreaming to think that you'll be able to have strawberries in December.
All Matt's got to do is hike up the nearest mountain and get some snow.
Yeah. But
There's snow in the mountains right now.
In my opinion, I think your self-sufficiency goal needs to be as closed loop as you can make it. You know, yeah, it will never be perfect, but it needs to be as kind of
If
as
you're-
closed loop as you can get it, boss. But at the same time, don't cut out your community. Build your community. Build with your community.
Well, and if your goal is 100% self-sufficiency, you have to tailor your goal to where you live. So, this number one bestseller book on Amazon on self-sufficiency is not going to work for everybody. The person in northern Maine doesn't have the luxury I have in South Mississippi. I grow 11 months out of the year down here. The month I don't grow is August. It's too freaking hot. The sun kills everything.
Too hot, yeah.
And but it's still very
And it doesn't
seasonal.
rain.
And it doesn't rain. So, but I would still have to live very seasonally. I can grow December, January, February, fine, but I'm going to be eating kale, lettuce, cabbage, collard greens.
Yep.
It's going to be a
Yep.
leafy green diet.
I'll never forget the family. The first introduction I had to homesteading was a TV show that I saw, and I couldn't remember the name of it, but it was this family that lived in suburban California, and they had a homestead, and they like their yard like they lived on a quarter acre, something like that. They had a traditional house. But like their front yard, like all their neighbors were like pristine lawns, and then their yard was like vegetables everywhere. And they had, they couldn't have a goat as livestock, but they could have a goat as a pet in the city. And so they had a pet goat. They
Nice.
got milk from. Like it was,
How does that work?
but their whole thing was, we eat seasonally. We eat what we grow
Yep.
when we can grow it. And I'm like, huh. Like that was like a light bulb moment for me. Like, oh, you don't just eat the same thing all year round because you can go buy it at the store. Like you eat what you can grow.
Or preserve. So,
Right.
Well,
all right, let's wrap this up.
It's been a long episode.
Long story has something to say. I've been watching his face.
No, I was just going to say, like eating seasonally, that goes back to this food preservation. I was going to say, like, salting meats, cheeses. Like, how did you preserve dairy over a winter? Cheese, right?
Mhm.
And there's
Dip it in
just
wax.
lots of different ways that people, our ancestors, preserve food to be able to make it through a winter. And most people are not. They think of most of those things as if you think of like extreme, the vegan, they think that all of that is inhumane. But you wouldn't even survive a winter without those things.
Yep.
If you can't fly them from the equator. Anyway, all right, I'll shut up, Matt. Sorry.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I usually ask like, what do you guys want to wrap up on? And that sounds great.
Jeez.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Jeez. Excellent.
Cheese. All right. Jeremy, do your thing.
Matt, do my thing. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and apparently not Facebook. Chickens, homesteading, prepping a little bit, gardening, videos, content.
Awesome. Sounds great.
At Dewey Like Donuts everywhere.
Well, that's not what it said, but
It's not. No more. I didn't see it. Come on, man. You don't do me like that.
I am too busy with totes and goats. I'm actually picking up another goat tomorrow that was given to me. I traded a goat. I got paid in a goat as a stud fee, and then swapped another buck for a buck. So I'm probably going to take those 4 to the stockyard. I don't necessarily need them. Whether $2 and then a retarded dwarf. I don't like dwarf goats, so I'm just going to get them going. And then, I don't know if I'm going to post anything anywhere ever again.
all right.
You
Cool.
probably shouldn't.
I don't
What
think
happened
people
to,
need to know my business.
What happened to the duck stealing from the park?
Oh
Okay,
man, yeah.
So I was really, really excited to lead a campaign on taking all the ducks from all the parks. So I went one morning at about 6 o'clock, as soon as the park opened, and there was this crazy lady running around with a bag of corn, dumping out like 20 pounds of corn to feed these ducks. And then I stopped her and asked her what she's doing and all that. She was very running, like she was legitimately running, pouring out a mound of corn, running. She's feeding these ducks. She's been feeding them for the last
Wish you had a
3
body
years.
cam. That would have been awesome.
She's been feeding these ducks for the last 3 years. And then when I told her what I wanted to do, she kind of got personal with it. It was like, well, I'd like to come out and look and see where you're taking them. Will they have access to water? Do they have a pond? I'm like, yeah, sure, lady.
Hey,
then
if you
these-
let her come out, she'll feed them for you.
Yeah. And then there's these
She
two.
doesn't sound like the kind of person you want on your property.
Hell
Exactly.
no.
Yeah. And it's like I lost interest. She said there was a couple. She's like, you can take the males. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna take ducks, I'm gonna just take all of them. You know, I'll eat the ones I don't want and keep the other ones around.
Just got fat on corn.
Just because they're in my opinion they're a nuisance at the park. There's geese and there's wild mallards at the park all the time. People just abandon these animals and expect them to have the same quality of life as a wild animal when they're completely domesticated. But then there were these two I was gonna get from a park. The one I actually picked it up, I petted it, I held it for like 30 minutes. I didn't have anything to take it home in, and I went back the next week and both of them were gone. So I gave up.
I
But
think
I'm
she's
gonna-
taking them. I think she's beating you to it. She's
No,
taking them home.
this is a different park.
Crazy
um,
duck lady.
She's
Yeah.
a park
But,
hopper too.
I'm probably gonna check back up in spring and then like steal their babies.
Sounds good. Kidnapping ducks.
Baby ducks.
Baby ducks.
Baby ducks. All right. Thanks. Oh crap. I'm not ready. Here it is. Padre, the Loaf King.
Loaf King.
I saved that from last time.
All right, at Padre Homestead on TikTok, smith-homestead.com. My website, which I am going to take this week, and I'm redoing the entire website.
But you said TikTok or Twitter?
Do TikTok.
Huh.
I have a Twitter, or a TikTok. I'm sorry, at Twitter. I have a TikTok, but I don't post anything on it.
Okay.
Anyway, if you use code FarmHopLife at checkout, you get 10% off your entire order.
I didn't even use the discount code, and he gave me back money anyways.
You ship?
Oh, there he is.
He does.
Yeah, he ships.
His hot sauces are a very hot topic. That was awful. That was
Scott-
awful.
That was
Scott-
pretty bad.
Cheese.
Scott in Kansas
Cheesy
is my
fuck.
biggest fan, man. He buys so much hot sauce from me.
I know he reps it so hard in the Telegram.
He does. He does.
Awesome.
Are you still
where-
trying to do your food truck? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, do the food truck.
Who, me?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're working on getting a food truck right now. Taking the actually I'm taking a hot dog cart route. So
Okay.
Hot
Are you gonna
dogs.
make hot dogs?
no, it's gonna be tacos and burritos.
Okay.
But they make some pretty nice ones. It's like $6,000. Goes behind your vehicle. It's got all your burners, your refrigerator, your hot sections, 4 sink, everything the health department requires for establishment. So
Do
That's
you
not
have to
very
have a
authentic.
commissary kitchen? Do you have to have a commissary kitchen in Mississippi or no?
no, this will be they issue food truck license.
Interesting. They don't do that here. You have to have a commissary kitchen.
So I can get a catering license and rent a kitchen and do it that way. But that's a pain in the butt. It's easier just to go this route.
Padre, that's not very authentic. I thought you said you weren't Mexican.
I know. He just looks it. He just looks.
I don't know what I am anymore.
He's ethnically
Somebody
ambiguous.
adopt me, please.
Well, Joel on Twitter, he adopted me. He tells everybody I'm his Mexican brother.
Perfect. There you go. Permission granted. Long Story Farms.
Hey, man. Well, look out for us Oktoberfest in Newberry this coming Saturday, Newberry, South Carolina. And look for our farm to open 1207 Main Street, our farm store to open 1207 Main Street sometime later this year or early next year. We'll let you know as we have more details. And I used to live in Mexico, and I had a Mexican gemelo. So love it. Love Mexican people.
Look,
Fantastic.
I'm gonna be in your area the week after Christmas. I need that store open before I get
Man, come on by, man.
there.
Nice.
Well, you guys are all
Uh,
invited. Come on by.
I'm on my way. As soon as
All right.
work sends me there, I'm on my way. Shudra.
Currently only on Twitter, the Shooter Way. It'll be all about planting trees, cultivating gardens, and tending the livestock.
You got a website too, right?
Yeah, I haven't touched
Kinda.
that for a couple. I really need to reboot that website.
All right. Maybe next time.
TheShooterWay.com.
ShuddraWay.com. All right. And I'm at DeRozier from HubLife.com. We are traveling hosts of family. I do a podcast of interviews, this men's forum, and a little series called Famous Farmers. I just did some French dude that Alan Savory stole all his ideas from. Sorry, inspired by. And next episode is Sepp Holzer. I'm going to do Sepp Holzer next. So Drake wanted to do that one. And that's it. I don't know what we're talking about next time. Probably what we were going to talk about this time. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.
Sounds good. Good night.
See you next time.
All right, see y'all.
Good night.
Later.